Welcome to Oracle tutorial. So we are discussing about PLSQL for the last few videos, and today also we'll take another PLSQL topic, which is conditional statements. Now, most of you are familiar who have done some sort of programming in any language of this language construct, if then else. So PLSQL, also being a procedural language, also supports such conditional statements. So I will go over quickly with this in a few examples. There is not much to explain really. So if then else, so the syntax is if, then, and then if you have, either you can do else and then you can end it with end if, or you can do else if. Now the key thing is it's ELS IF without any space, and then if you want combined condition, you can join them with and the other thing is a little different than other languages. The language is it has always a then. So here, just if you see the example, I am putting the salary into a variable and I am comparing the L salary, which is a variable, with different numbers, and I'm printing. So if you run the program, let's see, so we are running it, let's see, we are selecting the salary for employee 2, and let's query the table to see what employee 2 has. So employee 2 has 95 salary. So which probably would be here. So we should get the commission of 10%, which of 95 is around $9.05. So this is a simple procedure, PLSQL block to show you if then else. What I'm doing is that I'm fetching salary, and then based on the salary amount, I'm calculating commission, and I'm printing that commission. So EMP1 has salary 95 and commission 9.5, which is the right one, which is this one, and it is calculating 10% as salary. So that's all about if then else, and then now we will discuss something about cursors, which are a little bit more involved topic. So now we are going to discuss about cursors. Now, what are cursors? Now, if you have programmed in other languages, you probably have program where you define an array and then you have a set of elements, and which you do array processing or something of that nature. Now, in a database context, that is called we store records in tables and then we fetch it and work on it. So cursor is feature provided by PLSQL, which allows you to, which helps you to process records in a more efficient way, or it gives you a tool to work with set of records. So it really, cursor is essentially a work area created in the memory when an SQL statement is executed. So think about like you are fetching certain employee records and you have to store it, and so that you can work each record at a time. So cursor provides some sort of a temporary work area where you can store it. Along with that, it also gives certain features, like a function, so that you can get let's say a count of records in the storage, or if there is at all any record, and then that sort of thing. So this temporary work area is used to store, as I said, to data retrieved from the database and manipulate this data. Now a cursor can hold more than one row, or if you define it, it may not have any row because your query didn't return any row. But so it can contain more than one row, but you can process only one row at a time. So that's sort of a concept to understand. It's that you put all the rows in a temporary work area, and then you open the cursor, and then you process one row at a time, and the set of rows the cursor holds is called the active set. Now there are two types of cursors. One is implicit cursor, another is explicit cursor. The implicit cursors are when you write your insert, update or delete statement, they are automatically created by the system. So for example, if we write a typical select statement, let's say, let me choose a digital. So as I was saying, there are implicit cursor and explicit cursors. So implicit cursor is defined by system whenever you write a select statement. So here we have a select salary from EMP. So let's say this is our query. Now when you fire that query, Oracle defines a cursor by itself, and you can use the attributes of the cursor if you need. So for example, a cursor attribute is it tells you how many rows are there in that. So how many rows are in that cursor. So you can use that attribute to find out how many queries or how many records in your cursor. Whereas the explicit cursors are you define yourself. So for example, you define a cursor, you write command like cursor is, and then you do select. So that's implicit. That's an explicit cursor. And typically you do explicit cursor when you want to process one record at a time, and then you need to define a cursor. Whereas implicit cursors, it's when you don't do the bulk processing, and then you just write some select or write some update when you really are not interested in do record level processing. Anyway, we'll go over once we do some programming. We will take some examples through some PLSQL programs. Things would be a little bit more clear to you. Let's take an example of implicit cursor. As you see here, fire the insert, update or delete DML statement or select, then as I said, the implicit cursor gets defined, and then you can use some of the implicit cursor attributes for your advantage. Sort of, it gives you some, you can think some tools or functions which you can help if you want to necessarily find something what your DML statements did. So DML, by the way, DML statements, if you're confused, what does it mean? DML stands for data manipulation language. So delete, insert, update and select, these are called DML. And then there is another term called DDL, data definition language, and that is used mostly to create table or drop table or create procedure and that sort of thing. So when you're doing something with the data, you are involving DML. But when you're creating objects like tables or